So we are now here at Matoog Basak, Gihulngan City for our interview with a teacher, a 20 teacher in the younger generation. So good morning, ma'am. I am Barry Gamo.
Good
I
morning.
I'm studying at Negros Oriental State University, Main Campus 1, taking up Bachelor's of Secondary Education major in Filipino. So the purpose of this interview is to find out the teaching experience of the younger generation of teacher. So would you please, thank you so much for consenting to this interview. Would you please introduce yourself?
Okay, good morning. I am Mrs. Mona Lisa Baring Fernandez. I am 28 years old and I live here in Matuog Basak, Gihulngan City, Negros Oriental. I currently teach at Gihulngan National High School, Poblacion, for almost 6 years now. And
And you've, the course you've taken up, ma'am?
okay, so for now, at this moment, I passed my comprehensive exam of Masters in Arts or Masters of Arts in Teaching in Filipino Teaching at Cebu Noras Sitio, Cebu Technological University, Moalboal Campus.
Okay, thank you so much. So, how long have you been teaching, ma'am, again?
Almost 6 years.
6 years. So
Yes.
for those 6 year in between those 6 year of teaching, so how would you describe your first 5 years as a teacher?
Okay, so for 5 years in teaching, I can tell that it is very challenging since in this modern world and also the generation, this younger generation, there are lots of changes, their behaviors so different from our generation. I mean the generation before. Okay, so but somehow it helps hone my ability, my skills in teaching, and also it helps grow my personality and my professional skills, especially in teaching. Like there were lots of learning going in my 5 years of teaching.
So you've mentioned the growth of you as a teacher, no, ma'am. So,
Yes.
um, to follow up with that, how would you say is information disseminated inside the classroom? Is it teacher to student one way, or is it vice
Okay,
versa?
so most of the time it is vice versa. So from teacher to students, and after that, after the class, there were also students to teacher.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. So when there would be announcement, special projects, or any kind of urgent information. So how would you reach your students, ma'am?
Okay, so sometimes I announce it personally, but uh, when there were important information that need to disseminate, I announce it through Facebook page and also a group chat,
Group
especially if
chats.
it is for privacy.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. So next, what would be your sources of informations when discussing?
Okay, so when discussing, there were lots of information I gathered from library, and but sometimes it's easier when you research through internet since it is modern world and it is easy for us to access internet for more information and also additional information about the topic that need to be discussed in your class.
So the internet is very big help, ma'am, no?
Yes, very big help for now.
Okay, so what about the ano, ma'am, instructional materials that you've used?
Okay, so as a classroom teacher and I'm handling senior high school. It is very accessible when it comes to uh, using technology. When I discuss, I use PowerPoint. No, since every classroom of senior high school building in our school had already their TV, no, for technological use in classroom. So I prefer using a PowerPoint or technology.
So
But there were times also that we can use traditional, like Manila paper, especially when doing their group activities. So students will use their Manila paper, and when I add also information in teaching, I also use chalkboard.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. So I would say that it is a mix of both, not traditional and modern, but mostly predominant would be the technology, right?
Yes.
Okay, next, ma'am, would be what would the type of assessments that you've used when grading your student? Would it be pen and paper only, or are there any other factors?
It is a combination of pen, paper, and also the
Performance.
performance based. So for the first semester, I handled about writing in Filipino, and now I'm handling work immersion. So the first semester, I usually use assessment pen, paper, since they will write academic writing, and then now in my second semester subjects, so most of them I will assess through their performance, since it is integrated to their subjects from grade 11 to grade 12.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. So, what would you say, ma'am, are the advantages or the disadvantages of today's teaching compared to before?
Okay, so I could s- I would say that it is very advantage for this young generation in using the technology compared to the last generation, or when it talks about my time when I was still a student. So I can say that for this generation is very advantage for them, since it is easier for them to gather or access informations through internet.
So we really see the positive impact of technology, ma'am, no, today in today's generation. But there are also risks,
Yes.
especially misinformation and wrong use of internet, no.
Yes.
So would you prefer, ma'am, your teaching style that you're using today, or the teaching style you've experienced before when you were a student?
For me, it is a combination, since we cannot use only technology, because there were some students don't have internet access in their place, and they don't have there were students that they don't have cell phones. So it is a combination of technology and the traditional ways of teaching. So as a teacher, we should also assess the students' capability and also their sources. No, if they have that materials for learning. No, so we need to combine the traditional and technological ways of teaching.
So thank you so much, ma'am. That will be all for this interview. Thank you so much for your time. So until again.
Okay, you're welcome.
So I am joined here today with my next guest. Thank you for having this interview. Would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay, so hello everyone. I am Barbara Barnido Gamo. I am 50 years old. I live at Mataog Basak, Gihon nga Negros Oriental. I am a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Industrial Education, major in Home Economics. And I am presently teaching at Gihon nga National High School Poblacion for almost 27 years.
27 years. So within those 27 years, would you describe how was your first 5 years as a teacher?
So as a teacher, for my first 5 years, I think it is partly difficult for me because actually my major is home economics and I am teaching science. So at first, I only depend on the books, and also I ask some of my co-teachers to help me, especially in the physics subject.
Okay, thank you very much. So within the four corners of your classroom, how would you say the information is disseminated, or how is information transferred within the classroom?
So within the classroom, uh, the information is actually started from the teacher, and it should be delivered to the students with the help of the books, and then usually with also if it is necessary to have visual aids to deepen the understanding of the students.
Okay, so you've mentioned books. So is there any other sources of information that you have used in your classes?
So before, only the books,
Books.
as well also as some of the, let us say, mentor references. When we say mentor references, those are from other teachers who are already in their service more than 10 years to give us information, especially for the newly hired teachers.
So when it comes to announcements, how would your students receive the announcement, or how would you give urgent information to them?
What do you mean by announcement? It is classroom related or school, the whole school?
It can be both.
Okay, for the whole school announcement, it should be done by the school principal. For the classroom, of course, as the advisor, I will be the one to announce to my students for any updates related to our school activities.
So just to be clear, it would be face to face, verbally, with the
Uh,
from the teacher to the students, right?
yes, face to face, verbally.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, you've mentioned instructional materials. So, would you please elaborate what kind of instructional materials you've used before?
I've usually used what we call the top system or as visual aids using the Manila paper, and of course to catch the attention of the students, I will use the colored cartolina, post it on the board. Before, I just hire a one who will have a good in drawing to be used as my visual aids.
So, aside from those 2D models, do you have any 3D models like dioramas or anything that, aside from the what you have said, the Manila paper and all?
Uh, I can sometimes it depends on the subject. We can have use model. So like for example the Sun Earth Moon system. So we cannot depend only on the drawing because we should let the students know how the sun, the earth, and the moon rotates with each other.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, about the types of assessment, what have you used before with the types of assessment?
Usually paper pencil test, assessment, uh, more or less, or usually there are times we'll use an performance assessment using rubrics, but it's seldom used.
Okay, thank you so much. So, what would you say, or what would be your opinion about the educational system maybe 15 to 20 years ago?
For me, the educational system in the Philippines 15 or 20 years ago, it's more the students are willing to listen to the teacher. If we are going to compare nowadays because of the gadgets. So before the focus of the students was on the teacher only. So the teacher should be beautiful. The teacher should bring all the visual aids to help the learners deepen the understanding about the lesson.
Okay, thank you very much. So, in short, it would be, I would say, a teacher-centered approach before.
Teacher-centered approach, it depends on the topic.
It depends on the topic.
But you should always ask the students if any ideas or opinion that they have, in which you are going to process it to have a one understanding about the lesson.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, would you, as in the profession for you said 27 years, what would you say that today's educational system have gone better compared before?
In terms of technology, so this educational system is much better because it lessen the burden of the teacher, especially if you can have the projector and then the laptop as well as TV the classrooms have TV, so it's lessen the burden compared before.
Okay, thank you very much. So that would be all for today. Thank you for having us. Would you like to say goodbye to our audience?
Okay, so thank you also for giving a chance to be interviewed. And then for the audience, bye.
Bye, everyone. So after our interview from the teachers from both old and new generation, we will be continuing our interview with a former student or a student before in the past years, which is now in the age of 50 and above. Hello tayo, Mang Buntag.
Oo, may buntag do.
Pwede ka ako antay ma-interview?
Pwede. Para unsa dong.
Sa kwante, project na mo sa amo ang major subject. About to siya sa unang panahon te sa pag-eskwela ba? Okay na tayo interview?
Okay ra.
Sige, ali.
Dali dong sulod.
So, maayong buntag te.
May buntag.
So, ako di ay si Barigamo, taga Matuog, Gihulngan. Kanang eskwela sa Negros Oriental State University, Main Campus 1. So, ang tumong aning pag-interview no para kay mabalaan ang imuhang kaagi personally sa pag-eskwela sa unang panahon. So, salamat sa pagsugot sa interview.
Okay ra.
Okay, so pwede ba kang magpaila sa mga gatanaw?
Ako si Arlene Sarito. Anak ko yung dinis matuog basta. Ang edad 52
Sa asa ka eskwela sa una?
sa Barangay Basak.
Barangay Basak. So, pwede ba nimong i-describe sa gamay kung unsa imong kaagi sa una sa pag-eskwela?
Ang akong kaagis pag-eskwela, lahi gyud karon sa sauna. Sa una wala ato mga cellphone. Amo ato libro na jud magikan.
So, kanang sa pag-eskwela, if kanang nay mga pahibalo gani ang maestra, kay wala may cellphone na imong niingon no, walay cellphone. So, unsa saan yung pagkabalo? Saan nila pagpahibalo sa imo?
Sa classroom ray announce na niya kung sa mga wala pa'y klase or naabatay ray mga kuan activity ana.
Okay, sa classroom. Tapos sa sulod sa classroom kay um kanang akong nadunggan sa una is like sa maestra jud gikan tanan no ang mga ang kanang like if unsay itudlo gikan na jud sa maestra kumbaga mudawat ba sila og kanang gikan sa estudyante o maestra gyud tanan
Maestra ra jud tanan.
maestra gyud tanan
Mm.
kung ikaw mo supak nila
Dili
pwede
di pwede.
dili pwede kay ngano gorong dili pwede.
Kay sila ba atong sundon.
Mm. So if daamoy mga assignment kay asa man mo magkuha kay wala pa may internet sa una.
Kung nami assignment, kung naa sa libro, ana ra mi kuha, dili patudlos ginikanan.
Tapos kanang libro asa po nagikan te?
Hinatag sa among maestra.
Maestra or sa napo na sa library no?
O anha po may usay mo kuha.
Inig ka na pong magkuano kanang ganing sukdon ang ka-bright no kay karon kay daghan namang paagi para sukdon. Sa una, unsa may paagi para masukod?
Exam ra jud.
Exam ra gyud,
Exam
lapis,
ra,
papel,
lapis, papel, ballpen.
walay lain.
Wala.
Wala. Tapos last nga pangutana te kung sa imong naagian sa pag-eskwela sa una ug nabantayan karon nga pag-eskwela unsa man ganahan ba ka nga unta napadayon ang paagi sa una or unta nakaagi ka sa pag-eskwela paagi sa pag-eskwela karon?
Sa una, sa among naagian, lisod. Karon hayahay naman mga estudyante. Ang sakay, paingong eskwelahan, kami sa una magbaklay.
Salamat kay te sa paggahin sa oras no. Maura to. Salamat kayo.
Salamat po, wala problema.
So we are here at Barangay Buena Vista, Gihungan City, together with my next guest. Good morning. I am Barigamo, taking a Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Filipino. So the purpose of this interview is to know and identify your learning experiences as a student. So would you please kindly introduce yourself?
So, good day everyone, especially to you, Mr. Gamo. So, I'm Kent Harold Buentusiso. I'm 20 years old and currently taking my Bachelor of Science in Accountancy in Norso.
Okay, thank you so much. So would you please describe briefly your learning experiences so far?
So, I think my learning experiences here in the university is such that it was a roller coaster. I have encountered a lot of difficulties, especially due to the fact that I am a a pandemic baby, so we didn't take the fundamentals of our subject back in high school. So now we are currently facing a lot of difficulties in catching up some of our lessons that was instructed to us by our instructor due to this fact.
Okay, thank you so much. So inside the classroom, as you've how as you've observed, how is information disseminated, or how is how how is your teacher sharing information? Is it a one way process, or is it two way?
Based on my experiences, I observed that it was disseminated through a two-way processes. It involves the interaction of teacher giving a instructions and teaching materials to the students, and on the other hand the students would engage in this learning.
So we could say that in your generation, so the students are given the freedom to interact with your teachers, right?
Yes.
So how would your teachers reach out to you, for example, when having announcement or giving assignments?
So our instructors gave us the announcements or the assignments in our class through two ways. First one is the virtual, which consists of using the internet, such as using the Google Classroom. So we will not go to the university and conduct some face-to-face classes. The second one involves face-to-face, which consists of us going into our classrooms and together with our instructors, so that they can deliver to us the instructions or assignments regarding that particular period.
Okay, thank you so much. So during discussion, so your teacher, what are the instructional materials that your teachers use? Is it traditional, which includes the cartolina manila paper, or the modern, which is using televisions and projectors? Or is it a combination of both?
It is a combination of both. So since first time in this school year, our instructors usually use the cartolina, and like for example on the next day, so he or she would use the projector.
So, when it comes to assessing, so how would your teachers assess you?
It consists of using the traditional pen and paper, and the other one is through the other assessments, such as using performance tasks like role play, drama, projects, and other more.
Okay, thank you so much. So, one last question would be, as you've mentioned, um, today's generation of learning is far more advanced and accessible for the students. So, for you, would you like if the traditional way of instruction would be continued until now, or would you prefer your the learning experience that you've had so far?
So for me, I prefer the modern way of teaching since it was accessible, especially with the emergence of technology nowadays.
Thank you so much. So that would be all for this interview. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.